GDPR data breach notification. What is it? What are its requirements? And who needs to notify and who decides? All this and more in this video. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Punit Bhatia. I am the founder and CEO of company Fit for Privacy, and we help you with privacy strategy, its implementation and training for your staff. So what is a personal data breach notification? Before we talk about that, the important thing is what is a personal data breach? So anytime someone has had access to personal data that they should not have, it is a personal data breach. For example, one of your employee loses laptop. Now if that laptop contained personal data, it is a personal data breach. Similarly, if one of your staff sends an email with all the customers in to rather than in BCC, it means all customers have got emails of others which they should not have. Again, you have a personal data breach. So in short, a personal data breach is an event or an incident in which unauthorized people or individuals have gotten access to personal data. Now, what are the GDPR data breach notification requirements? In EU GDPR, it is mandatory that personal data breaches are registered and you keep a record of these. And when a personal data breach creates a high risk to rights and freedoms of an individual, it must be notified to authorities within 72 hours. The good news is not all personal data breaches need to be notified, but only the ones which are creating a significant risk. But who decides what is a significant risk? That is decided by your DPO, the data protection officer. And if you don't have one, you can consult a privacy expert who can advise you if a breach is notifiable or not. And apart from this 72-hour requirement and identification of high risk or not, what are the elements that you need to include in a data breach notification? So in a personal data breach notification, especially in the EU GDPR, most of the data protection authorities have given a template or an online link saying this is what you have to fill. And these templates or these links ask for information like what happened, that is, when did this incident happen, how many records or customers were impacted, what kind of personal data has been breached or impacted, what actions were taken before the incident to ensure that protection measures have been in place, and what actions have been taken since the breach. The other question is, who do you notify? You notify authorities, that is the data protection authority or privacy commission in your country, like Information Commissioner's Office in the UK or CNIL in France or Belgium's privacy commission. And you also notify data subjects, that is individuals whose personal data has been breached. So we talked about what is a GDPR data breach and what are the requirements for GDPR data breach notification, but who will make this notification? Well, it is usually made by your data protection officer. And if you have not appointed one, or if you did not need to appoint one, it can be made by anyone by logging into or going to the data protection authority's website. But do remember that not all data breaches have to be notified. Only the data breaches which create a significant risk to rights and freedoms of individual have to be notified. When we talk about who is to notify, it is important to realize you need to understand what is the role of your company. That is your company playing the role of a controller or a processor? If your company is a controller, law obliges you to notify it to authorities and data subjects, as we talked about. But if your company is a processor or a sub-processor, you must follow what is stated in your contract with the processor if you are a sub-processor, or with the controller if you are a processor. Normally the contract obliges you to notify the DPO of the controller company. Now the question is, how do you determine if a personal data breach is notifiable or not. So let's understand it through an example. Earlier we spoke about losing a laptop is a personal data breach. Now, is this something that you will notify to data protection authorities? In my opinion, no, because most of the laptops are encrypted, and if the laptop is encrypted, then the risk of someone getting into this laptop's data is negligible because it's encrypted. And even if it does, most companies keep data in a cloud environment or on network drives. That is, very limited amount of data is kept on the laptop. So in this case, there is limited risk to rights and freedoms of individual, and hence I would usually not notify a laptop loss. But imagine if a hacker hacked into your system and has access to payment details, credit card details, and name, so that payments can be made on behalf of the individual. Now this is serious, and in this case there is a risk to rights and freedoms of individual because they may have unnecessary financial obligations created and their privacy is impacted. So in this case, I would certainly notify the data protection authority as well as the individuals, that is the data subjects. So in short, any unintentional or unauthorized access to personal data is a data breach. Not all personal data breaches need to be notified, but only if there's a high risk to individual, it is to be notified. High risk or not is decided by the DPO. So when notifying the data protection authority, you need to include all the necessary details like how many records are impacted, how many customers are impacted, what kind of personal data is impacted, and so on. Most times when I work with clients, they ask, how can we prevent a data breach? Well, you do your best by putting in security measures, that is technical, organizational, and contractual measures to protect personal data, but data breach can still happen. And the only way to be ready for a data breach or data breach notification is to prepare for it, that is put in a process as well as test that process, like conducting a tabletop exercise or a simulated incident. So if you would like to conduct a simulated incident or a tabletop exercise in your company and make sure you are ready for a personal data breach, then contact us. If you like this video, please do click like, do comment, and do subscribe, and also share it with a friend. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.